the second team that I think me and Justin, well, I don't think he's
We
the one who
know.
talked to it. We know the Jacksonville Jaguars. Quick hit on them for
So
me.
disrespectful.
Urban Meyer's out. Dougie P's in. I'm a T-Law guy. I'm a Trevor Lawrence believer. I wanted the Patriots to tank to get him. I think this guy's going to be legit for years to come. And they've got a ton, and I mean a ton, of young talent on the O-line, D-line, and basically everywhere. I look for basically the one word that comes to mind with the Jaguars is progression. That's all I want to see is to progress, and I think they will. I have them finishing 7-10. Go ahead, Mr. Jaggy, Jaguar guy.
Guys, I'm big on these Jaguars, man. I love them. Like Brandon, I have them winning 6 or 7 games. I have them at 6 right now. There was some toss-ups there where you like, they might squeeze one out. I think that they're going to put up points this year. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have an awesome year, especially coming off of that terrible rookie season. But now that he has a guy like Doug Peterson in the fold, he has Christian Kirk, he has ETN coming back. I think they have a very good run game when you pair James Robinson and ETN.
Mm-hmm.
I think the upside there, I mean, let me not say they have a very good run game because we haven't seen what ETN could be in the NFL yet, but the potential is there. The potential is there to have a very strong backfield. They just traded Chenal, if I'm not mistaken, so they lose one receiver, but I think T-Law, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league in a couple of years. And I think right now this is the year that we start to see that growth. I they're going to be so much better. No Urban Meyer in the fold. I'm high on the Jags train. Let me see if I can pull up their schedule real quick.
I have them just to say quickly. I have them finishing the year off 3-0. I have them beating the Jets, Texans, and Titans to end the year.
I have them losing to the Jets at home, but I do think they beat the Texans. I do think they beat the Titans. I even see them beating the Colts once this year.
Yeah, it's reasonable. They do that every other year.
Oh.
Yeah,
I had them going 5-12.
I think there's a stat that the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since like 2015 or something. So I have them beating the Colts week 2.
That Northern Florida heat's too much for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Laviska Shenault, I almost completely forgot that he was traded to the Panthers for a 7th and a 6th round pick the following year in 2024. Look, I love Trevor Lawrence, and I think he has the potential of a Justin Herbert. Those guys that are 6'6" have the throwing power, the arm accuracy, and also the decisiveness and the maturity as well. Not only as a pure decision maker, but as a leader, a guy that's gonna kind of galvanized your troops, especially a younger team. He reminds me so much of Justin Herbert. Now, Herbert was able to overcome a lot in his rookie season working with Pep Hamilton. I'm not necessarily sure with Press Taylor and Doug Peterson if he has the necessary support talking about Trevor and Jacksonville that Herbert had. So I am very concerned. This schedule this year, I don't see him starting off 3-0. I mean, the Chargers on the road at 4 o'clock. I just think that Chargers team has improved so much, and the pass rush itself. You add in Brandon Scherf from the Commanders, but the rest of the offensive line is pretty poor. And I think you have two dynamic running backs in ETN and James Robinson, but I don't see the running game really being there. And this team does not have a number 1 or anything close to it. I think Kirk's fine. He's overpaid. And I think it was a little bit ridiculous the spending spree they had in free agency, as anyone should think, because this is the Jaguars. And I think this franchise has continued to show they are inept. I really have no faith in them whatsoever building around Trevor for as special a talent as he is. I feel like in 6 to 7 years, we're going to be looking at him as a top 6 quarterback, right in that tier with Allen, Mahomes, maybe a little bit lower, and Herbert. And still, the Jaguars won't even be the best team in the division. I have way more faith in the Colts and the Titans as well. And I think you guys are massively overwriting the former coach of the year and King Henry in Tennessee. But with all that being said, there's a lot of upside with this defense. If Trayvon Walker can develop as a pass rusher and Josh Allen can live up to expectations after a disappointing last 2 seasons, and at the same time, Kayvon Chason, he's been mostly a bust. They've invested a grand amount of capital into the outside linebackers and the interior. But I mean, the defense still is not very good or good enough to win them games, I think, just yet, while I do think it's a little bit underrated.
One more thing on the Jaguars, though. I think I've heard everybody's basically say that Kirk's the number one. I don't believe that. I think Marvin Jones Jr. is better than Christian Kirk, and I think he's going to be the number one. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to realize that in the coming weeks of the regular season, start of the regular season, that he's the guy you can trust more. He's a veteran. He's experienced. He's been a quote unquote number one. Like he's not number one talent, but he's been in the position as the number one receiver.
You never
Um,
mentioned him when he was playing with Stafford, getting 1,100 yards and leading the NFL
yeah,
in yards per reception.
that's what I'm saying. So this guy, he gets underrated. I think a lot of people look at Christian Kirk because they signed him and paid him all that money, but I think Marvin Jones is better, and he's going to be the number one.